to make the most of that and turn the tide there as you went into the second half?
Just understanding leads are not. You're never as far or. Damn, I want to say it.
It's never as bad or as good as.
No, that's not what I want to say though. Like you're never too far, and you're never too far ahead or too far behind. Yeah, that's right. That's how we went into it and tried to approach it. Obviously, credit to them, they were making a lot of shots, but we weren't making them miss. So, thought we did a good job of just playing defense, kind of sticking with each other and knowing what has to get done. And, we were able to do that.
Shai, I want to ask you about Dub and Chet. They were both extremely impactful, but had very different kind of flows to their game. What did you notice from these two guys just in their third NBA season to be such critical forces for you tonight?
Like both Dub and Chet, like they're really good NBA players. Like they're the cream of the crop for sure, and we've seen that all season long, and that's why we're the team we are. So like tonight was just another night of them being themselves. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary. It wasn't anything I haven't seen before. They were just two really good basketball players that were doing their job on a night in Memphis. Now the stakes are a little bit higher, but to them, they just so level-headed, so poised. They're ready for the moment and took advantage of it.
Dub, I know it's only been 3 games, but how valuable has this series been for you as a player, and what do you feel like you've done with the opportunity?
How's the series? What?
How valuable has the series been for you as a player?
It's good. It's just kind of get to see what your work throughout the season looks like, and this is like obviously key moments where every possession matters, and I try and just remember that and relish in the moment, and not like look too far ahead or try not to look too far ahead and just I'm not locked in. That's all I got. There you go. That's my answer.
And before this, only 2 teams have ever pulled off.
I'm not locked in.
Before this, only 2 teams have ever pulled off a comeback of 29 or more. What does that feel like as it's happening?
Oh, yeah, lock in.
Okay. I mean, it sucks in the moment, but I think just like I said before, like it's definitely something doable, especially with our group. Just try and play the right way and stick to it. It's very like in the moment it sucks. It's not something that we want to make a habit of, but we also have extreme confidence in how we can play to kind of turn the tide, and you're able to do that.
Anybody else? Michael? Go ahead, Michael Martin.
Michael Martin, Let's Talk Thunder. Shai, Joel mentioned it, but just 29 points, second largest comeback playoff history. Not a lot of people have been in situations like this. You actually have. You were involved in the biggest playoff comeback in NBA history in your rookie season with the Clippers. Was there anything, did you remember that sort of around halftime? And then Mark mentioned many times about sort of you guys reconnecting as a group. When did you feel like that sort of happened?
I completely forgot about that. So no, that didn't cross my mind. But
That is crazy.
we just knew like the only way we were gonna give ourselves a chance was like sticking together, getting stops, playing fast, and just like plugging away at it, possession by possession. Like we know how they built a 29-point lead in a half, so we knew like all we had to do was build our own 29-point lead. You know what I mean? So like if they could build it, we can erase it, and that's how we see it. And that's what we did. We just had to plug away at it. Now, like Jalen said, it sucks in the moment, but like you can't pout, you can't get caught in your feelings because then it just gets bigger and bigger, and you don't have to give yourself a chance. So that's all we were focused on, just trying to plug away at it, and luckily we got it done.
Anybody else? Thanks, guys. Oh, you got one? Sorry.
Oh, there's actually 2 more. You're not reading the room right. You right here, right? You raise his hand?
Just wait, let's go.
No, he put his hand down and you scared him. Damn. Here we go.
You want it?
Dub, I just wonder, for you to, obviously, like, you and Chet are almost aligned in your playoff growth. Like, this is both your second postseason. What is that like for you to see him go from half to half, the things he did, and what did you see change in him?
I don't think he played the way he wanted to the first half, and in the playoffs to be able to completely scrap a first half mentally and come out and do what he did second half is big kudos to him. You can kind of just see the maturity level and like just his evolution as a player and like as a teammate. It's really cool to see him grow in that role, especially like being hurt half the season, so he doesn't even have like season rhythm, and for him to have the confidence to make the shots that he was and just play as free as he was second half, and just this whole series is a testament to how hard he works, and it's cool just as a brother and a teammate like to watch him be successful. And we came into the league together, which makes it even cooler. We're going through the same experiences.
And obviously, you've seen Alex be hectic a lot this season, but that fourth quarter specifically, what'd you see from him then in terms of his activity?
Turn the tide for us for sure. He just knows how to win. He's been a part of winning teams. He's a competitor, and obviously that's why he's here. He did a really good job. Just keeps us locked in, keeps us honest. He's definitely like one of the vocal leaders on the team. But yeah, he just kind of turned the tide defensively, helped us turn it up a notch. He's guarding almost everybody on the floor, and it just makes it easier defensively to go out there and just play free.
Chet, the resilience tonight, what stood out to you as the game progressed, as you guys left the locker room at halftime, just those little moments that led to what you were able to accomplish tonight?
Yeah, first of all, credit to Mark for sticking with me. Changed the trajectory of the game, trusted me, and calling a play for me to bomb one out of half after, that shitstorm that I put up in the first half. So credit to him on that. And then once I saw one go in, I kind of felt good. And then as a team, we controlled what we could control, and we were able to pull it away. You've
Been alongside Dub, this whole journey and over the last 3 years. What did you notice from him in the first half, and just how controlled and poised he was on both ends of the floor?
Oh yeah, I mean, we always know what we're going to get from him on both ends. Obviously, the game wasn't going our way for a good chunk of that first half, and he stayed poised, stayed controlled, and he was really creating at a point in the game where we didn't have any flow, any rhythm, and we really need that.
Chet, I don't know that a lot of players usually get at you in game, but it felt like in the heat of competition, Ja said something to you. At least it looked like. Can you tell me about that exchange, and did that spark anything in you emotionally?
Nah, he didn't say anything. I mean, he had a breakaway dunk, and then he was kind of yelling, which we all do, and then he kind of turned, and he had space to avoid me, but I don't think he even tried to, and all I said was don't do that, and I wouldn't say it was anything more than that. It's kind of just what it was.
And you mentioned that, Mark stuck with you. What'd you feel like you did with the opportunity, and what changed half to half?
Shit, I kept shooting. They started going in, so.
Mark said he thought you guys reconnected to who you are in the second half. What does that mean to you?
It means being who we've been all year, trusting each other, trusting that what we've worked on all year is our best option to go to. And that's, playing together and, trusting that the next man is going to make the right play, whether it's on offense or defense. When you make that extra pass, you trust that that person's going to make the shot, make the right read on the drive, make the extra pass themselves. And then on defense, it's the same thing. Doing your job, trusting that whoever's behind you is going to be in the right spot at the right time to have your back. So, I feel like we had good stretches in the first half of doing that, and not saying anybody wasn't trusting each other out there. It's just in the second half we really got back to that.
They had more turnovers than buckets in the second half. When you see that, what do you think?
I think Alex Caruso, Cason Wallace, Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, Shai, yeah.
Yeah, Chet, speaking of Alex, he hit you with that driving kick three late in the last 3 minutes, and then he had some monster defensive plays on the end. What did you see from him in terms of his impact down the stretch?
Man, that dude's a winner. If you're going to Lifetime, that's the type of dude you pick first. You love playing with people like that. They're going to make all the right plays, all the winning plays. They're going to have your back, like I said, and that's what AC does. He showed it long before he even got here with us. But that's nothing, doesn't surprise us. We see that every night from him.
Michael Martin, let's talk Thunder. Chet, staying with AC, what is it about his game? Because he was a really valuable piece for you guys during the regular season, but it seems like his game really lends itself towards the playoffs. What is it about his game that really rises to the occasion in situations like this?
I don't know. He's such a smart player. And when you're really smart, you know where to be, when to be there, and how to make a play. And then you're not afraid to stick your nose in there and take a shot or two, guard bigger guys, take a bump, get on the ground, scrape your knees up. It allows you to make plays without hesitating. And, if you hesitate, you're too late for the play. And in this league, it's a game of inches. So, you got to be there early, actually be there right on time to make a play. And that's what he does every time. Some people just have it, some people don't. I don't know if you call it a skill or not, but AC got it.
See if a big brings the ball down below his waist, below his chest, you feel like it's got to be your ball?
Yeah, 100%. That's the only advantage I have when guarding bigger players is, the ball exposes itself. And we talked about it as a team, being undersized at times this year, just being aggressive in those situations. And, sometimes we're going to foul, but a lot of times we're going to get deflections, we're going to get steals, and we're going to be able to run. So just taking advantage of the opportunity when it presents itself.
Alex, you've seen a lot of basketball. How unique and experienced is a 29-point comeback?
Yeah, it doesn't happen a lot. I've been part of a couple comebacks in my career, even before the NBA, that have been crazy. But playoff game down 30, that's not a great feeling, especially on the road. But one positive that I was trying to spin it for the guys was we got a lot of time left. There's a lot of basketball to be played and a lot of possessions in the game. And I just felt like at halftime when we were at 26, I was like, excuse me, I was talking to the guys in the locker room just about getting it to low single or low double digits, 10, 11, 12. And from there, I felt like we could win the game. That first unit came out and hit them right in the mouth in the third quarter. Chet made a bunch of shots for us to get us going. But they got stops, and from there, it was just momentum was on our side, and it's a dangerous thing in the playoffs.
And obviously, you've impacted winning for quite a few teams now, but is this, I don't know, the most fun you've had doing it?
Yeah, I won a championship. That was pretty fun. So TBD on that answer, but this group of guys, just the energy and the tenacity that we do it, 1, 2, 3, 4 guys on the court, 2 minimum at any point in time. There's always 2 guys out there at least that are really getting after it. Playing with, myself personally, I love playing defense. I love competing on that end. That's just fun. And then being surrounded by a bunch of dudes that also enjoy that and find enjoyment and pride on that side of the floor, it's a lot of fun, yeah.
Mark said that you all, as a team, got away from character, got out of character in the first half and had to reconnect. In what ways do you feel like you got out of character? Defensive numbers obviously speak for themselves, but specifically which ways?
Yeah, we just didn't react well to their role players making a bunch of shots early. I don't know if they hit the rim on their first 5 shots between Pippen, Conchar, Aldama. They all were just green and just cashing. So we had played a couple games against LA late in the year where they did the same thing early in the game, and one game we responded well and one game we didn't. The first game we didn't, second one we did. And, I thought even then we did a good job of responding to the game, but we didn't make shots, and we kind of let that affect our defense. And like our defense is our superpower. Like when we're locked in on that side of the ball, we're an unstoppable force because we just have so many guys and such great instincts and can finish possessions. So I think just giving up a lot of stuff in the paint in that second quarter after they made threes, we got away from that and then let them get out in transition. And then that obviously just, playing against a set defense coming down, they were able to turn up the pressure a little bit. So just getting back to getting stops and then moving the ball on offense in the second or the third quarter was big for us.
They had more turnovers than buckets in the second half. You talk about defense being your superpower. What do you make of a stat like that?
Yeah, I mean, they missed their main guy, their main ball handler a little bit with Ja when he went out. They put a lot of pressure on Pippen Jr. and Bain. And, I could tell, excuse me, Queso was giving Pippen Jr. hell, bringing it up the court into the third, beginning of the fourth, just with, how much energy he was having to put into playing defense on Shai and then bring the ball up and initiate offense. So a lot of that was us just playing with instincts, too. Like a couple times, Queso sped him up, and I think I peeled off and went and doubled and got a steal. So just, playing aggressive and when you're down 20-something in a game, especially in the playoffs, like you kind of have to just go for it. So for us, it was just about trying to get as many turnovers as we could to try and play fast and come back.
You talked about momentum. What's kind of the feeling as that momentum's building, and do you sense kind of the pressure building on them at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, that's all you're trying to do at that point. You're down 25, 30 in a game. You just want to make enough of a push to put it on the other team to make plays. And I thought we did a great job of that. Obviously us making a couple of shots in the third quarter helped. And we got to set our defense and really get after it. And like you said, turnovers helped us get out too. But, it's just you got to go for it. You got to go for it. There's nothing to wait. If you don't make a comeback, then you got to shut it down and go for the next game. But we were able to make a good run. And then, like you said, game got close and they got slower. The game kind of switched to the pace that I think benefited us.
Alex, this is the second straight game where you've dove on the floor for the loose ball. You get it tied up, but you call a timeout. You guys retain possession, and you're pretty fired up after those plays. Just in your experience in the playoffs, just can you speak to how much weight a play like that holds in these games?
Yeah, it's just a tone setter more than anything. And especially in this game, it's a possessions game. When we're down however many we are at the time. I don't know if it was 6 or 8 or whatever it was. One possession could make the difference. We missed a couple free throws late. Like if they bang in a 3 and tie the game, now we got to go make one. If I don't get that stop, then maybe they go up 1 or up 2. So I'm just understanding the moment of how big each individual possession is and just competing through that. And that's what this time of the year is for. Like if you're not diving on the floor and trying to get every single ball and retain possession for your team, then you probably shouldn't be here.
Kind of to piggyback off that, you've talked about how you've been able to play a little differently in the postseason. How are you physically holding up through 3 games now?
Yeah, I mean, I feel good. Obviously, you're going to get banged up, and it's all about just recovering within the 48, 36 in this case that we're going to go again Saturday. But I feel good. I think we've done a great job through the year. Shout out to our training staff and medical staff and sports performance guys. They've done a great job working with me, getting to know me, and helping me get to a point to where I can go out and have games like I've had these first 3 and make an impact.
Basically, obviously your postseason experience with Chet is still young, but how have you seen him seize the opportunity, and what do you see flipping him from half to half tonight?
Yeah, I mean, one nice thing for Chet is that you don't have to get him ready to play. Like, he has a very high standard for how he wants to play, and that is, the beginning of greatness at any point in time. Like, I have the same thing, excuse me, with myself, which is the reason that I'm here now sitting at this podium talking to you in the NBA. You have to have a high standard for how you want to play and hold yourself to that standard, and he does a great job of that. For me, it's more about getting him out of his own way sometimes when he gets a little too frustrated with himself, because it's not a perfect game. It's an imperfect game. Like, we're going to turn the ball over. You're going to miss a shot. You'll miss an assignment. But getting to that next play and being competitive to get the next one is the biggest thing. And for him, I think he did a great job of that tonight. I don't think he had a great first half by his standards or by our standards. And he came out, started making shots, finished possessions on the glass for us, made a couple contests at the rim, and played the way that he's capable of playing. So the mental toughness and the competitive resilience is fun to watch from him.
And did you see him, like you say, frustrated in the first half? Could you sense that? Could you see that? And what are you sort of telling him in those moments?
No, not too much individually. But, I mean, this is the same guy we're talking about when he misses a couple shots in warm-ups in a row. We'll just, like, I shoot the same time as him. So, like, his warm-up for me, I'm just like, all right, let's get a good feel and get to the game. And Chet's, like, out there with a full sweat, and he missed a couple in a row, and he's pissed. And I always get a chuckle out of it because it's like, dude, you're going to be fine. Like, we're going to play the game. You're going to make a bunch of shots. But that's just who he is.
Yeah, we know we're going to get tested in a lot of different ways, and we certainly get tested tonight. And I just thought out of halftime, we kind of reconnected to who we are. We were very out of character in the first half, and some of that had to do with how well Memphis played and the way they landed the first punch and multiple punches after that. So credit to them. But I just thought our response in a game that doesn't feel attainable in certain parts of it, our response was great.
Chet and J-Dub still just in their third NBA season. For them to be as efficient and, use the term efficient and impactful, both those guys were those things tonight. What did you see from them as they're still even accruing these experiences?
Yeah, Dub, got it going early and had it going in the first two games. Chet, I give a lot of credit to because I think he had 1 point at halftime. He had a very, very quiet, subdued first half, and then the mental toughness to stay in it and deliver the way that he did early in the second half, and then through that third quarter and into the fourth, he had that huge three late. Was really impressive. So, and he did a really good job defensively as well, and on the glass with Edie.
Just a couple points. Coach, what did you see in that third quarter that really stands out the most, that really turned things around, going to the fourth with a 10-point deficit all of a sudden? What did you see, looking back on it, that stands out the most about that third quarter?
Just we kind of reconnected to who we are. I thought they were really good early. Some of it was like shot making. They made a lot of threes early, and kind of ones that we'll live with at times. And then we kind of got out of character there in the second quarter. In the first quarter, I just thought we weren't quite ourselves, dug ourselves a massive hole. And in the third, I just thought we kind of reconnected to who we are. There was great communication on the bench, even when we were down by 20. We didn't break through the lead very quickly. The guys did a great job, and we stayed very present. We just stacked possessions and trusted the one play at a time thing, and that shows the power of it. We were back in the game. I think we tied the game with like 7 to go in the fourth, so we were able to close it pretty quickly once we stacked the stops.
Mark, how did Caruso's activity change that game?
He changes every game he's in. I didn't think that was an outlier for Alex. He's like that every night. He's like that in a preseason game. He's constantly engaged in the competition, and the size of the stage or the pressure of the game doesn't impact him at all. He just is. He's playing the next possession. He was all over the place again, per usual, and made some big plays. I mean, he had the driving kick that got us a three down the stretch late. So he's doing it on offense too.
Where does the wherewithal to come from? I mean, you sort of mentioned it, just to be down 29, to be out of character at parts in that first half, to see them nail those threes. Like, where does the wherewithal come from to stay in that and still be able to mount a comeback?
Yeah, I just think, we have a team of guys that feel a responsibility to each other, and, they're going to go down swinging. We could have easily lost that game tonight because of the hole we dug ourselves, but like I said, we're going to get tested a lot of different times, and we've got to be ready to pull together when we do, and that's what I thought we did out of halftime. Like, we were a connected team in the second half of that game in the face of adversity on the road against a team that was playing really well and that was really hungry.
First half tonight, it seemed like their processing, decision-making was really, really quick, and the second half, not so much. What do you feel like you guys did to kind of slow them down?
I just thought, yeah, I thought some of it was just like transition. We scored a little more, we got back a little faster. I mean, I hate to oversimplify it, but that's a huge part of playing this team. And we've had them in check through the first two games in that part of the game, and we didn't have them in check in the first half. And then The pressure in the second half, too. We really amped up the pressure. I thought Kaysen did a great job with that. Dort did a great job with that. Alex did a great job. Dub, all those guys were up the floor. Even Chet a couple times there, really made them feel us. And that certainly makes it difficult to start possessions against us when we do that.
Michael Martin, let's talk Thunder. Mark, you've talked over and over throughout your tenure about this being an uncommon group. Youngest one seed in NBA history. You guys have the second largest comeback in playoff history tonight. What is it about this group that makes them so special? And do they still surprise you from time to time? Or is it almost just, I don't want to say expected because it's so much NBA history, but you're not shocked by it?
Yeah, never surprised, always impressed, They just feel an unbelievable responsibility to one another. I think it just comes down to that. They're the epitome of a team. 1 through 18, and I thought tonight, again, we could have lost that game, but coming together the way we did in the second half and standing up together in the face of adversity and in the face of us kind of being out of character in the first half, that kind of builds your muscle even if you don't win the game, because obviously the series wouldn't have ended tonight if we lost. So I just thought we stood up with our backs against the wall tonight. Certainly, again, not surprised, but impressed every time they do it.
Coach, in those moments of adversity, like at halftime, what are, what are the vibes like in the locker room? I know you can't say too much, but is it more frustration or is it more optimism, calmness?
This group stays pretty present, We're frustrated. I think there was a collective frustration. No one likes being down by 25 at halftime, and that's a good thing. There's an energy to anger. But you got to channel that energy, and we got to channel it together. And I think this group does a great job of just getting our feet back on the ground, understanding what we need to do to try to change the game. And that was on display in the second half.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Mark, you went with the 4 guards with AJ even in the first half, and then you went pretty heavy on that in the second half versus sizing more traditionally if you'd gone to Aaron or Jay Will or whatever. What's the trigger for you to kind of stay small like that with the guards versus maybe playing more traditionally?
A little bit of, the pressure, trying to get the pressure amped up. That helps. Getting Chet at the 5 is a priority at different times, and, you automatically become smaller at the other spots when we do that. And then we needed to score, and when you're down like that. We needed to score a little bit, and Chet gives you the opportunity to kind of have your cake and eat it too there, because you space the floor more and you get him, in space, and you spread out the defense, but you don't give up a ton on the other end because of his rim protection. So that's the power of having a player that's as dynamic on offense and as stingy on defense as he is. But it's going to be different nights. But obviously, what we had been doing the first 2 games, we were kind of rolling that back early, and that wasn't working tonight. They made adjustments to their rotation, especially to start the second quarter, and so we weren't going to just sit there and watch it happen. We were trying a lot of different things, obviously.
Mark, obviously, thought it was worth reviewing, and Ja didn't come back after the play. What was your perspective of that play with Lou and Ja?
They reviewed it, so trusting their judgment on that, but obviously not. I never want to see anybody get hurt. I hope he's okay. But you want everybody to be at full strength. He's a great competitor. He was playing great. Obviously, that had something to do with the game as well. It would be, wrong of me not to acknowledge that. But I think it was a clean play. I think everybody was just playing hard. It was unfortunate. I hope he's all right.